Hey guys, Josh here. I just wanted to take a second and let you know about this amazing new product called MultiplayerSquad.com. It's the greatest new addition to gaming. Well, I mean, practically life. It's sure to fill you with glee, help you make new friends, and expose you to all sorts of awesome memes. It's got the best community of gamers around, and more than that, it's the best way to help support the show and let us keep providing awesome content. What? I gotta read this disclaimer for legal reasons. Warning, MultiplayerSquad.com can cause feelings of joy, happiness, companionship, ownage, and all-around sense of being awesome. If you notice yourself acting more like Josh, please discontinue use immediately and seek professional help. Hey, who put that in there? Paul!
Hello, squad mates. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Multiplayer Gaming Podcast. We are three dads that love to talk about gaming, and we always keep our episodes family friendly. Please make sure to rate our show 5 stars and leave a written review. And please check out our Patreon page if you would like to unlock access to the exclusive Squadcast, which is a feed of bonus episodes only available to those who help support the show. You can take a look at the Patreon options by heading over to multiplayersquad.com. Today is Thursday, which means it is time for This Week in Gaming, and we are going to be breaking down some recent gaming news stories. I am your host, Paul, and I am joined here today by my colleague who is currently living in the Matrix. He's unsure of what's real and what's a program. It's Josh.
Mr. Anderson.
There it is.
You
I knew it
humans
was
are
coming.
repulsive. I can smell it. It's in your clothes. That's all I got. I love The Matrix, by the way. What a great movie.
Are you going to start calling us parasites now?
I mean, not to your face anyway.
Fair enough. And then we're joined by our good friend, who I know he's a huge fan of space games. I can't help but think he's feeling a little bit depressed here this week. It's Michael.
I don't know if I can make it through this episode, guys. I'm super excited to deliver great news today. True story. Paul and Josh had to call me like 4 times today and like check on my wife to have her come and peel me off the floor of my office because I was like in a fetal position crying in the corner over today's news. So, hey guys, so happy to be here today and do the show.
Michael's still got crocodile tears just coming down out of the eyes right now.
I do.
So let's start off with the bad news, guys. Let's end on a high note. So let's talk about one of the things that we hate the most, which are video game delays. And, obviously I think we can appreciate sometimes they're necessary to come out with a decent game. But we did get word this week that Starfield and Redfall, both of them pretty highly anticipated releases, have both been pushed out beyond 2022. We are now going to have to wait until the first half of 2023. What do you guys think about this?
I mean, is it... My initial response is this a surprise to either one of you fine gentlemen?
Nope.
Not a huge surprise. It's a slight disappointment and a very minor slight surprise.
I mean, we've seen 0 gameplay of Starfield at all. Literally at all. I think there's one 1 second snippet where it's showing like a bookshelf or like a utility shelf in one scene and you're like, ooh, is that gameplay? But there's literally nothing happening and it's like a second long. It's just, you don't come out with a game that's touted to be what Starfield is, supposed to be and not have any gameplay or anything like that when you're only 6 months out from release. That's a huge red flag right there. Now, in June, we're supposed to get some footage because there's a big event coming up where they're going to show footage from Starfield and we're going to get to see the gameplay and all that. But yeah, I mean, this doesn't surprise me one bit. This game's supposed to be huge. I feel like they're going to need this time.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I didn't even think about the fact, Josh, that you just mentioned that we haven't seen any gameplay at all for this. And it's funny what the developers actually say about the reason for their delay. The reason is, hey, we just want to polish this game up a little bit before we release it to give you the best experience. But you're like, okay, we've seen no gameplay footage. We've really not heard a lot except for, just little inklings on the internet of what they're doing. And the biggest issue is if you're delaying a game 6 months before release, it's because either 1, your game is broken, 2, it's not finished yet, 3, you're trying to figure out how to make all the silos of all the different developers and all that, different developer groups come together and make a finished game. I think that it's not about polish at all. They don't have a game yet that is anywhere near ready to go on release. They're not near the 6-month mark yet.
You very well could be right. Now, Bethesda, they have always been like big idea people. I feel like they've always got these awesome ideas. The finished products tend to eventually get to the right spot. But I will say that this does not bode well for my prediction of Starfield winning Game of the Year in the year 2022, because it is not going to release. So put that one as one under the loss column for me.
Do you guys think this has anything to do with the leak that we talked about on a recent episode where the employee broke NDA and started talking about Starfield and saying, hey, flying does not feel good at all. Like, there's shooting elements, but this game is not close to being ready. I think he even said like some of the systems are coming online, but he made it seem like this game had a really long way to go. And even mentioned that the date 11/11/22, which was a huge date for them, was really what they were shooting for. So they didn't take delaying this lightly. But the response to that guy kind of breaking the NDA and putting this information out there, do you think that was like the right time for them to say, well, since everybody has heard now, maybe this is a good time to delay it?
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Could this have something to do with it? Absolutely. Like I was just saying, the game's not done. What they could have done was they could have been in a spot where they think they're on track and they start putting those, because when you have a game where you've got flying and walking around or whatever, anytime you start putting different pieces of an engine together and then you put it together and you're like, wait a minute, flying's not right, and then this game's not really fun. I don't think it hurt them to put it out now because they've already been kicked in the pants, right? They've already been, like, the NDA thing, like, that came out. Everyone took it as truth because it came from a guy who's in big trouble now for saying it, right? And so why not just double up with the bad press and say, hey, rather than delaying it in 3 months and saying, hey, we know we're 3 months out, but we're delaying it by 6 more months or potentially, who knows, almost a year. I think it makes sense to put that release out now and just take the bad news in lumps.
Maybe. I don't know. It wasn't like the world's biggest story, and Bethesda is so big, I don't know that they really care about like what one employee says.
It was the biggest story for me.
That that employee largely had positive things to say about Starfield.
Yeah.
Like he did rag on the status from the developer side of the engine, but he did say that the game is shaping up and looking really good, but it was still far away. And you did mention, Josh, he specifically said flying did not yet feel fun. It's a work in progress. We know how these things are. You've got a program, 7,000 things, and then you got to start putting them together, and some of those puzzle pieces may or may not line up. So if that's what they mean by polishing it up, I get what they're saying. I think the game is probably largely there. I don't know if they're like 70% there or 80% there, but if they need to delay it another 6 months or something to give us a great product, I get it. They only have one chance to make a first impression. And like we've said before, this is their first new IP in over 25 years. So I think they're going to be extra cautious and careful. They want to make sure that they hit the ground running with this one. So it sucks we have to wait, but I think we all agree ultimately it's probably for the best.
Well, and that makes it a big deal too, that this is their first IP, new IP in 25 years, because if they put out a bad, I keep wanting to say Skyrim, if they put out a bad Elder Scrolls game or they put a bad Fallout game out, there's going to be another one of those games. It's like, okay, this one didn't sell as well, whatever. We'll refund some money if we have to, and we'll put out another one 76. Down the road. Right. But that's true. But they're still going to make another Fallout game, even though that game was bad. But this game, there's a lot more riding on it for them, because potentially, if this game is bad, they don't just lose revenue on this game; they lose potential future revenue on the entire franchise just going in the trash can if it's not done right. And so it's a big deal to them.
Can you guys think of any other like new IP that might have released in the last couple of years that was wildly hyped that maybe shouldn't have released when it did and could have really benefited from maybe being delayed like 6 months to a year.
Was it a CD Projekt Red game?
Oh, you think maybe the developers are starting to learn their lessons and going, hey, it's better to delay this game than it is to release it and have it flop hard.
Didn't Bethesda totally bust roll? Didn't they bust roll CD Projekt Red?
Yeah, if you read some of the articles that go along with them announcing this delay into 2023, they actually referenced the fact that they didn't want a Cyberpunk level release in that regard. Like, delaying it seems to be the right thing to do in this case. And I have to say, I'm fine with it. I mean, yes, it's sad news. Yes, I don't know what other game is coming out in 2022 other than God of War. And at this point, I'm not super confident that God of War Ragnarok is going to release in 2022. If it does, the only game it has to compete with is Elden Ring at this point. But it's like, it ain't looking so good for the rest of the year, man.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of an underwhelming year. A lot of disappointments. We still have Gotham Knights to look forward to. That's still slated for this year, right? Or is that 2023 also?
I'm not that excited about that game. I mean, It looks fun. I'll tell you what, the only thing that makes me excited about Gotham Knights is the co-op gameplay portion. Like, that's literally the only thing. Like, otherwise, I feel like this is just a Batman kind of remake. I mean, DC doesn't make as fun characters, as Marvel does and stuff like that. Like, if it was just a single player game, I'd have zero interest. The fact that it is co-op does make me interested to be able to hop on with you guys and play together. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, who doesn't want a co-op Batman game? I mean, that's exactly what it is.
And that's what I'm saying. That part gets me excited. But if it did not have co-op and it was single player only, it wouldn't even be on my radar.
Oh, really? I'd still be excited. Yeah, and Gotham Knights is slated for October, which I know is not like the most anticipated game. So it is a bummer to lose Starfield and Redfall. We're just going to have to wait till 2023 there. All right, so moving on to the next story. This is one that we definitely talked a lot about in our Discord server. And if anyone out there has not joined, there's a link in the episode description. Totally free to join. We'd love to have you in there. But there was an Unreal Engine 5 tech demo that got released that kind of took the world by storm. I know it hit the front page of Reddit. We were talking about it quite a bit within our friend group. Josh, do you want to maybe explain a little bit about what this was?
So this was something that was posted to the interwebs, and people kept going like, hey, check out this Unreal Engine 5 demo. And all I kept seeing was somebody with a camera taking video of a stairway at a train station. And
I think he's walking into the office where they're going to show the tech demo on a computer.
Okay, dude, am I going to watch this guy ride this train to work to show me this tech demo? And I kept where is the tech demo, guys? Where's it at? Did I click the wrong link? What's going on? And then somebody was like, I can't believe it. That looks so real. And then it dawned on me, wait a minute. Okay, somebody is scamming the internet. They have recorded footage with their phone at a train station and then tried to say that this was Unreal Engine 5. And I was like, come on, guys, we all know better. This is obviously a video. There's no way that this is made using technology. And then lo and behold, this thing was verified to be, and the guy that actually made it came forward and said, no, I actually made this. This is not using a video camera. And he even showed he changed some of the lighting from day to night, instantly. And that's when the brain just exploded. And I went, we have done it, guys. We have literally gotten to the point where you cannot tell reality apart from graphics. It is absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same way you did, Josh. I actually I clicked out of the video thinking, is this an advertisement or something? I'm like, no. Let me get to the video I'm supposed to be watching. I want to watch the Unreal Engine demo, right? Then I went back in and I'm like, this is the same video. This isn't it. And I'm looking through an article that I found and I scrolled down and sure enough, it says that he'd modeled it after a train station in, I believe it was in China, Ichu Daemun Station, or I don't know how to pronounce that. But the whole thing is I'm like, that's oh, wow, that's it. And so when I'm watching it, one of the first things that I really noticed after, it went from day to night was that flashlight. And I'm like, in every game ever, there's always a lighting issue when you have flashlights. Everyone knows it. There's that area outside the flashlight that's pitch black. And I'm like, that's not really how flashlights work. I'm a camper. I go camping a lot. It has a really good area where it's really bright. And then you have some fringe lighting and stuff all around. And this flashlight was doing that perfectly. And I'm like, okay, this is incredible. Just the lighting test on it. But then also while I'm watching it, I'm sitting there and I'm like, but this can't be the demo still because the movement, it's not... It looks like a handheld camera. It doesn't feel like a game. And then I read farther on in the article, it turns out he did it using VR controls for the camera movement and hand movement. I'm like, that's how the flashlight is moving independently. Okay, that makes so much more sense now. I am so sold. And I cannot wait because I believe one of the first major titles they're putting out on this engine is the next Witcher game, which I love The Witcher anyways. Oh. And so I'm amped. I'm amped.
Now, I mean,
there's one big problem.
Yeah, I was gonna.
It's a tech demo that no one can run on their computer system. This is like using supercomputers to process it. So yes, the engine is capable. It's unbelievably good. You're gonna need, 8 4090s that are all working in tandem in order to process something like this. But man, does it not make you excited for the future. It just looks so incredible.
Yeah, but how long have you been using Unreal Engine 4 for?
A while.
And when that first came out, we weren't anywhere near the end of its capabilities. And so I'm thinking more excitement about the future on what we can do because graphics
10
card
years down the road.
Yeah, a graphics card 10 years down the road is probably going to be equivalent of 4 4090s. You know what I mean? And so it's just cool to see that we're on the next step. And if we can't get there yet, at least we can get closer, If
you're listening, go ahead and check it out. It's all over the internet. It's absolutely incredible. I have never in my life seen graphics like this. You cannot tell it apart at all. I mean, there was nothing in any of this video where I went, oh, there it is. Okay, there, you can kind of tell that was graphics. This was a CGI type thing or something like that. It's just do you guys remember when cutscenes, do you remember when you'd be playing a game and then it would go to a cutscene and the cutscene was always way better graphics than the game was because it's already pre-rendered and all that? And then it's games finally caught up to cutscenes, right? And it's oh man, you remember 10 years ago? This is the gameplay that looked like a cutscene back then. And I feel like we're well on the way. I mean, the applications of this are unfathomable. Can you imagine a horror game where it looks like real life?
I don't want to.
I don't there comes a point where I'm not sure I'd want to play that. It sounds neat, but I mean, at some point, I don't know that I want that level of realism in a video game. But then on the flip side, it's it's so cool. Give me Witcher 4 and Unreal Engine 5. I don't know, man. It's crazy, but I think you're right. It's going to be 10 years before we have the capability to actually play a game with that kind of graphical fidelity in it.
Either way, it's still going to be a huge upgrade probably on the games that develop next. But like you, Josh, I too was looking for flaws, and I looked specifically at the fluorescent lights in the ceiling, and I'm like, you could always tell by the lights because it's going to be a cut and copy paste, and they're going to light differently. Lo and behold, the fluorescent lights all look different, and they're all based on where they're positioned. The ambient light coming from them is actually true looking. So yeah, I'm impressed. I'm excited. And even if we can't use it for 10 years to its fullest, at least in 2 years or 3 years, we can use it at probably still a huge upgrade to Unreal Engine 4.
Now,
oh yeah,
Paul, you saw the Matrix tech demo, right? Now, I still have not seen that to this day, but how does the Matrix one compare to this one? I mean, I feel like people were blown away by the Matrix demo. Is it close in the graphical fidelity of it?
No. But the Matrix demo is still incredible. And it's running on a PS5. So you're talking about, not even top of the line PC specs right now. So just the fact that they're able to produce something like the Matrix tech demo, which looks so incredibly good with so much going on the screen at once. The draw distance is so far down the road and there's just so much action and things are moving all over the screen at once. And it handles it all perfect where it feels very immersive. So when you start to add in the even higher resolutions and looking at things up close that really do look realistic, it's just going to get better and better. I mean, the Matrix demo already had me hyped. Seeing this just sends it through the roof. But we've already seen tech demos in the past where if you guys remember, there's like scenes out in the desert and you see all the rocks piled on the ground, and you would swear that it's like photos in real life. I'm so excited about where gaming is headed.
Yeah.
Hey,
go ahead.
Before we move on, sorry, I just want to correct myself from earlier because I don't want to get the angry mails. But Ichi Diamond Station is in Toyama, Japan, not China, and I apologize for my mistake.
How dare you? You should know your train station.
I know, right?
Cartography.
Come on, Michael. Didn't you major in Eastern
Mass Transit?
Western anthropology? A little bit. Yeah, Eastern, yeah.
Oh boy. So yeah, Unreal Engine 5 tech demo. Go check it out. All right. Now, I know that we have, we've mentioned Dead Space on this show a couple of times. I know Josh and I in particular are enormous fans of the original Dead Space. And EA confirmed that we are getting a complete ground-up rework of the 2008 original, and it's going to release in January of next year. This is going to be coming out for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Is this something that you guys are excited about?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I am too, man. It's one of those things where I've made it known I'm not a huge fan of remakes and remasters and stuff like that. I feel like they're money grabs. Like, can we get some new stuff, please? Right. But that being said, Dead Space is a game that everybody should have played at some point. And I get that for a lot of people, because the game is old at this point, that they just will never experience it. Oh, really? You've never played it, Michael?
I've never played it. And I think we talked about this offline one time. We were talking about Dead Space. And I think I asked you guys, like, is it playable? And you're like, you might have to mod it a little bit, or something like that. But it's not going to be the same experience. But no, I've never played it.
Well, it's so good. You'll love it. You'll love it when you get around to it.
This is the perfect reason why I'm actually excited for this, because this is a complete remake of the game. Now, I did see some footage. It does look like they're keeping it, like the original. They're not mixing things up too much, but they are bringing this game into the 21st century. I guess is 2008 the 21st century?
It is.
Okay, they're bringing this game into the 2020s.
Yeah. 2199.
2001 on.
Oh, man. That's not my brightest moment there, guys.
Right?
So they're bringing this game into the 2020s. But you'll be able to experience it because it will be so up to date, but they're keeping so much of the original that I think, now again, this is speculation because we don't know what the game's going to be like. But if they can keep what made the original so amazing and bring it up to date and then put it in the hands of people that never got to experience the original Dead Space, that's a win.
Yeah. No, and the biggest thing too is like you said about the update, it's not just retextures and remeshing the original. They're building the game from the ground up, which is what makes me most excited about it. I think about, what was it, Final Fantasy VII when that came out and you had like the little piece of it or whatever, and it was like, hey, we're building a whole new game, but that was a different game fundamentally. This is the same look, the same Dead Space, but just they're modernizing it, bringing it into the 22nd century and making it just newer and better. But what I like about it is, Josh, you asked, is it still going to have the same feel? The answer is no, because the developers said it's not. They said, and I quote, the level of horror and immersion is upping to unprecedented heights. So it's going to be even scarier than the first one.
Which I totally believe. And if you look up some of the videos of this, Dead Space has an official YouTube channel, and they actually have a video called Creating Immersive Environments, and you get to see them working inside the engine where they show the assets and the different workflow and all the things that they're doing to recreate it. And then at the end of the video, you get a split screen where you get to see the original next to the remake. And it really is incredible what they're able to do here today with this kind of work. I will be very excited to be able to play Dead Space again. And anyone out there, if you have seen the movie Event Horizon, that was the major inspiration for the game.
No.
So if you've seen that movie, it's definitely very adult. It's very rated R. It's very disturbing. But if you're a fan of that kind of movie, you would absolutely love Dead Space, the game.
And it's funny you say that, because I have been waiting to see a sci-fi movie. Like, I'm not going to say at the level of Event Horizon, because infamously it's unfinished. Act 3 is kind of a mess, but what you feel in that movie is pretty terrifying, and it's definitely like Paul said, very adult. But to experience that in a video game, sign me up. I'm really excited.
Yeah. I don't get excited about remakes, but this one I'm actually really pumped for because it's a game that everybody should have experienced. I feel like, people missed that window and it's probably too late for the original game, but everything that I see on this one looks like they're doing it in every way the right way. And so that gets me excited for it.
Yeah, and I'm sad that I never played it because this game came out like during the black hole of my gaming career. I guess I have a career in gaming now because I have a podcast.
Sure.
But during my gaming life, because I had just gotten married that year, and I only had time, I played a little bit of World of Warcraft. That's all I played for 4 years. So I missed almost every game between 2007 and Skyrim. And so this is one of those that fell in that I've always wanted to play, but I don't want to go back and play a game that I'm not going to truly experience because I'm going to be really taken out of the game by the graphics.
Yeah. This one will be very fun to dive back into. I feel like in a weird way, Dead Space is just so underrated now because of how bad the series got and EA kind of just destroyed it. So being able to get the first game, which is definitely the classic good one to play.
EA destroyed a game series?
No,
they've never done that. SimCity.
They're rebuilding. They're rebuilding games from the ground up, guys.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have time for one last story here today. This is related to EA, so good transition. EA has said that they are rethinking Battlefield from the ground up, which should not be a surprise because 2042 was such a colossal disaster. I even said, I don't know if Battlefield can really even survive this with the current model because it was just so bad. And you've got other games going free to play. So EA did say, hey, we're going, anything's on the table is kind of what it sounded like. And I did think that this was kind of funny, but they did brag that last month they issued a patch for Battlefield 2042 that had 400 fixes to bugs.
Whoa.
Oh.
Which when I read that, I was like, weird flex, but okay. Why are we bragging that we fixed that many bugs? And they finally added voice chat. My goodness.
Wow.
It's 2022 and that game had no voice chat until just last month.
If only there were free apps that you could use as gamers to talk to other gamers, Right. That's one of those things. In-game voice chat to me is something I don't understand the demand for because Discord is free. And every gamer uses Discord at this point. I get maybe if you're younger and you can't use it, I guess, or maybe your parents are like, no, we don't want you using that. Maybe, they have issues with that. But then in-game chat is some of the most toxic, foul chat or voice that you've ever heard.
I get so annoyed by in-game chat, and not for that reason. I get annoyed by it because I've got to, every time I buy a new game and we're playing multiplayer, I have to try and figure out how to turn that chat off.
Yes, exactly.
I got to go to the menu and try to figure it out. But it's funny. This one's Battlefield, EA. Oh my goodness. So let's look at the timeline, right? Game comes out. It's a massive. It's a nightmare to play, right? And they're saying, hey, we have some things to fix, and we understand. Then they come out and say, hey, we're disappointed too. We're really sorry. Then they come out and try to deflect and blame this on everybody, including COVID. And then they're saying, you know what? We're rebuilding from the ground up. So it's it looks like they're almost going through the stages of grief where the denial, the acceptance, and then finally just they're going to move on now. And thank goodness they are.
Did you say stages of greed? Because that's exactly greed.
Oh, yes. Dude,
yes.
Nice.
Because,
see what you did there.
Dude, this is 1000% EA trying to save face with the Battlefield franchise. And they're going to tout, we're building it from the ground up. We're revisiting what made Battlefield great. They're going to use all this jargon, right? Where it's just oh yeah, dude, this is the biggest Battlefield ever. We're going to have 3,000 people working on the next Battlefield, reimagined from, all prior games in the series and all. And I'm sorry, EA, you have 100% lost my trust when it comes to Battlefield. I will not pre-purchase. I will not play it until one comes out where everybody raves about it and says, hey, have you guys played the new Battlefield? Because it's amazing.
Do you think they're going to go to some kind of free-to-play model with a battle pass?
Of course they will. It's EA.
I'm not sure what else they could do because you can't keep charging $60 for a game like this because there are so many free options nowadays, whether you're looking at Halo Infinite or Apex Legends. you can't charge 60 for this anymore. So they're going to have to do something radically different.
I'm surprised they haven't done it already, honestly. I know why they haven't, because they're in denial and they're not ready to move on and say that, but once their sales numbers get down low enough and they're like, nobody's buying, are people still buying this game? Probably not. So pretty soon they're going to have to go to something like packaged like that.
Michael, Battlefield 2042 has dropped under 1,000 concurrent users on Steam.
Wow.
Good so I don't know about consoles, but even on Steam, this game has already kind of died.
Good thing they have all those bots they programmed, right? Remember that? Remember the whole the AI and the bots thing where they're like, hey, don't worry, guys, bots will fill the server. So it always feels like you're playing with people. And people went like, well, wait a minute, we don't want to play with bots. And
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at Steam charts right now, and in the middle of a Sunday afternoon when gaming is kind of at its peak, there are 2,200 people on Battlefield right now, which is not very high at all.
That's crazy.
For the
crazy
world.
Talk.
For the world.
Yeah.
2,200 people on planet Earth.
And there's a lot of people on the Earth in the 23rd century right now, too.
I like how this podcast just keeps leaping forward in time.
Exactly. I was trying to scroll down far enough to tell you what games it's around, and I can't even get there. The top 200 games, we have games I've never heard of. The Planet Crafter, Clicker Heroes, Conqueror's Blade, Trimps. All of these games have more concurrent players than Battlefield 2042.
I got nothing on those games. I don't even know what they are.
I feel like the guy that's at the used car lot, and I know that some shady salesman is trying to sell me like a clunker. And it's like he's just giving me, he's hyping it up and he's telling me like, oh, this is going to be the best car ever. Just trust me. And I'm sitting there going like, dude, trusting you is absolutely at the bottom of my list right now. And that's EA and Battlefield, man. I really hate to say it because you guys, I mean, we all loved Battlefield, but I rip Battlefield, man.
Yeah, he's trying to sell you an Audi with 60,000 miles as just like new.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that was a jab.
Yeah.
It's probably not a good sign when Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 both have more concurrent users right now than 2042. Sad day. All right. Well, we are out of time for today. The only other announcement that I was going to make is that by the time this episode releases, V Rising is now in early access.
Baby.
I know that the three of us have picked it up. We are going to be deep diving it after Elite Dangerous. So V Rising is currently out. That is one that you might want to take a look at. That one looks incredibly fun, and hopefully all three of us are playing it right now, having a blast.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will be back with a quick take episode on Saturday, and then following on Monday, we will have a bonus round episode that we're very excited for.
It's going to be a good one.
I think it will be. Thank you so much to everyone for listening. Thank you to everyone who's currently supporting us on Patreon. If you want to check that out, once again, that is multiplayersquad.com. And then we'll see you guys on Saturday.
Or in V Rising.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to be a vampire and just eat people.
It's going to be glorious.
Yeah.
All right.
See
Happy
everybody.
gaming. See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.